Hi there, football fans. Where's Sarah? Welcome back to Goalside. Before we start, don't forget to participate in our lottery for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and write the hidden message you'll find later in the video in the comments. Good luck. Erling Haaland looks like the next big thing in football. He's big, strong, and possesses a speed like no man of his height ever should. So how did he become this good? It was a long journey for the Norwegian prodigy, and today we'll dive in to see what makes Haaland's transformation to a world-class potential so incredible. Haaland was born, and this one is a big surprise, in Leeds. That's right, a fully fledged Norwegian striker was born in the middle of England back in 2000. The reason for this? Well, Erling's father wasn't just any anonymous Scandinavian. His name was Erling Haaland, and the rusty midfielder was playing for Leeds United at the time. So even though his career ended abruptly a couple of years after Erling's birth, Erling left his mark on the Premier League while playing for the Nottingham Forest, Manchester City, and Leeds. The Norwegian midfielder was nothing like his son today. He relied upon his physical strength to destroy the opposition in the midfield, rarely showing any technical prowess, as his 37 career goals would suggest. But this is partly what made Erling so good. Ever since his birth, he was amongst the tallest boys in his class. The Norwegian displayed some breathtaking results of athleticism with his height and speed, a combination you rarely see in any sport. Big men in football are usually associated with clumsiness and poor ball control. But not Haaland. The striker started polishing his game ever since his youngest days. Luckily for Erling, his dad knew how to handle his son to perfection. Erling organized additional private training sessions and even started media training for Erling when the striker was just 10 years old. Things like correctly receiving the ball and turning became Erling's second nature, and he quickly proved that he's up for any tasks his coaches put him up with. Haaland's first academy was Brian Football Club, where Haaland stood out, not just with his obvious physical talent, but from the work ethic from his earliest days, which impressed coaches day after day as the youngster only wanted to get better, even if it took hours of training both with and without football. Thus, it's no coincidence that Haaland is one of the youngest debutants in professional football ever, because he made his first appearance for Brian's senior side at just 15 years old. It didn't take long for Haaland to make the next step. Molde were interested in him because their manager at the time, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wanted to bring him up at all costs, recognizing the goal-scoring talent the youngster had because Solskjaer was quite a striker himself back in the day. A good relationship with Erling Haaland helped too, and Erling was walking towards the stars. So now it was time to shine on the biggest stage, but then Haaland faced the biggest crisis of his young footballing career. Faced with the new environments and critics ready to have a go at him, saying he's only there due to his father's fame came into their own when the youngster went through a goal-scoring drought starting out in Molde. But everything changed on one fateful day, July 1st, 2018. Erling Haaland wasn't even an 18-year-old when he was given a start for Molde against the best team in the league, Brann. Now, Brann weren't just any dominant team. They were so dominant that they only conceded 5 league goals up to that point, ruining everything in their path, staying undefeated from an incredible defensive record after 14 games. And then Erling Haaland just took off. The unstoppable force scored 4 goals inside the first 20 minutes of the match, setting the country on fire because everyone knew in an instant Erling Braut Haaland is the next big thing and there is no stopping him. Europe took notice too. Scouts from all over the continent traveled to the north to watch Erling's son, furiously taking notes about his goal-scoring prowess as Haaland kept bagging them in for fun that year, seemingly with the world at his palm. Juventus and Bayer Leverkusen had Haaland on their radars, and they were the biggest clubs the youngster could hope for, and only a few could say no to that. But Erling, along with his father Erling and a super agent, Mino Raiola, all decided that they'd go down a smarter route, investing in the youngster through playing time. So in January of 2019, the 18-year-old Haaland decided to join Red Bull Salzburg. Salzburg were an ambitious project. Their idea of football is modern, based on a lot of tempo, running, and scoring at any opportunity possible, playing for goal rather than defending. But first, Haaland had some unfinished business with Norway's under-20 team. Playing against Honduras, he scored 9 goals in a 12-0 win for Norway. 2018 was his year. Haaland made an incredible feat by scoring 5 more hat-tricks for Salzburg that year. Haaland himself embraced the spectacle, feeding the media with some fantastic statements such as, "I sleep with the 5 balls that I have for each hat trick I scored. I lie in bed and I feel good with them. I look at them every day. They are my girlfriends." It was a wild ride and everyone was in for it. The peak arrived when Salzburg faced Genk in their opening Champions League clash. The Belgian and the Austrian side were the underdogs in a group with Napoli and Liverpool. So a win here was crucial to both teams going further into the competition. But there was a difference between Salzburg and Genk that day. Salzburg had Erling Braut Haaland. Genk did not. The Norwegian scored a hat-trick on his Champions League debut, believe it or not. It's an unprecedented feat as he led his team to a 6-2 win over the Belgian representers. Everyone knew about Haaland at this point, but nobody knew where he'd stop, and we've yet to find out. Interestingly enough, this hat-trick arrived just 3 days after he scored 3 goals past Hartenberg in the Austrian First Division. The second Champions League group clash brought perhaps the strongest opponent possible, the current European champions and holders of the trophy, Liverpool. And it was an awful start too. Salzburg were 3-0 down as Haaland started on the bench, and it looked like a disaster was about to unfold. But the Austrians showed a huge fighting spirit, scoring twice to make it 3-2. And then it was Haaland time. Just 4 minutes after entering the match, the Norwegian striker scored to equal the scores, making it 3-3 against the European champs. Even though the Reds went on to score the winning goal, it was a sign of things to come. The following fixture saw Carlo Ancelotti's Napoli travel to Salzburg as the team clashed in the third round of the Champions League group stage. Another day, another spectacle from Haaland, who scored a brace against the Italians like it was nothing. But his team didn't give him the right support, and Salzburg ended up losing painfully 3-2. Days went by and nothing changed as Haaland just continued scoring no matter who was on the other side. This resulted in him ending the Champions League group stage as the record holder with at least a goal in every one of his 5 opening matches, taking his tally up to 8. Everyone wanted Haaland on their team. The loudest ones were again Juventus. This time, Manchester United, where Solskjaer was pulling the strings, hoping to land his compatriot. Erling picked Borussia Dortmund over Leipzig, moving away from the Red Bull project, joining Jadon Sancho, Achraf Hakimi, and other young and upcoming superstars in their quest to take down Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. The January of 2020 saw Haaland formalizing his move to Dortmund and immediately joining the BVB. And guess what happened next? Literally 3 minutes into his debut after coming off the bench in the 56th minute against Augsburg, Haaland scored and led his new team to a 5-3 win, where the Norwegian scored a hat-trick in the process, introducing another ball into his collection. The following matches didn't change much. Haaland scored a brace in each of his 2 next outings, even though he only played 25 minutes against Köln. It was clear and obvious that Haaland isn't just a superstar for the future, he's already an established goal-scoring machine like the BVB haven't had since Robert Lewandowski, according to the club captain, Marco Reus. I don't think we've had that kind of striker since Robert Lewandowski. Haaland gives us the option to be more flexible and to play in different systems and styles. He's a very open guy. First of all, it's important to get to know him. He gives us another way of playing, and we have to be able to work with him too and bring out all of his strengths. But that will all come in time. The peak arrived when the Champions League was back on the menu once again. Dortmund hosted Paris Saint-Germain as the Parisians were the big favorites coming into this matchup. However, Neymar, Mbappe and company didn't account for one thing before the match: the magic of Erling Braut Haaland. The Norwegians struck twice, including a wonderful 20-meter bomb that ended up behind Keylor Navas, and Dortmund finished the match winning 2-1 on the wings of Haaland's brace. Erling Braut Haaland's fairy tale has just begun. There's a long road ahead of him, but the youngster looks ready for all the pressure of the world mounting on his back by just focusing on football, living and breathing the sport, training as hard as he can, and scoring week in and week out, regardless on if he's playing against Honduras' under-20 side or the superstar squad like Paris Saint-Germain's.